Let's prove these three derivative formulas for hyperbolic functions, starting with the derivative of hyperbolic sine equals to the derivative of hyperbolic cosine. So when you prove this derivative formula, you have to find out what the hyperbolic sine equals to. So that's why I recall the hyperbolic sine of x is equals to e to the x minus e to the negative x divided by 2. For cosine, you change the minus to a plus, and then for tangent, you have sine divided by cosine. When you divide these two fractions, the two got cancelled. That's why you have a minus on top and a plus on the bottom. So starting with the sine, so we are taking the derivative of this. This is pretty easy. So you are taking the derivative of 1/2, so I will do e to the x divided by 2 and e to the negative x divided by 2. So the derivative of e to the anything is still e to the anything, right? So this one is no change. So for the second term, for this term, when you take the derivative of e to the negative x by chain rule, that produce a minus in front of this fraction. So the two minuses becomes a plus. So you have a plus e to the negative x divided by 2, and then you have e to the x plus e to the negative x divided by 2. That is equals to the, what is that equal to? That is equals to the hyperbolic cosine, right? So we have a hyperbolic cosine of x. So this proof is done. The double slash means that is the end of the proof. All right, so the second one, the one in blue, is a little bit harder because you have to do a quotient rule. So let's follow the color code. So I would take the derivative of tangent hyperbolic. So what is that equals to? So tangent is, you are using this, right? So let's write this down. So you are taking the derivative of e to the x minus e to the negative x divided by e to the x plus e to the negative x. So this one involves a quotient rule. So for quotient rule, I will be following this version: fg minus fg divided by g squared. The order of derivative is f first, g second. And then the derivative, what is that equal to? I'll just draw and equal. And then I will immediately square the denominator, right? So you immediately square the denominator. We have e to the x plus e to the negative x, and then we immediately square that. And then the derivative of the top is e to the x. And then when you take the derivative of that, do you see this? The derivative of this term that produce an extra minus in front of this term. So the two minuses becomes a plus. All right, so this becomes a e plus e to the negative x. That is the derivative of the top. And then g, you copy g, so e to the x plus e to the negative x, and then minus for the quotient rule, and then you copy the top, e to the x minus e to the negative x, and then the derivative of the bottom, so that is e to the x. So this term produce a minus, right? So the minus and the plus becomes a minus. Then you have e to the x minus e to the negative x. And then this one, can you just multiply this out for me? So this, the top, what do you have? You have e to the x times e to the x, so that is a 2x. And then this gives you a 1, right? So that gives you a 1, that gives you a 1. Do you follow the line? That gives you a 1 and a 1. So you have a plus plus 1, so plus 1 plus 1. And then you have a plus e to the negative 2x. And then what about the other one? The other one that gives you e to the 2x, and then this is a minus 1 and a minus 1. Do you follow that? Minus 1 and then followed by a minus 1. So we have a minus 1, and then plus e to the negative 2x, and then you divide it by the square of the denominator. And then what is cancelled? So all the e's are cancelled. Do you see that? First of all, this e and this e, they are cancelled, right? And then second of all, this plus and this plus got cancelled because we have a minus. So all the e got cancelled, so we only have a 2 minus a negative 2. So that this gives me a positive 4. So overall, we have a 4, right? So we have a 4 divided by the entire square. So what I am going to write next is I am, instead of writing 4 times 4, I will just write 2 divided by, and then 2 divided by the square. I will break this down into two factors, e to the x plus e to the negative x, and then this one is e to the x plus e to the negative x. Do we agree that this is just 1 divided by cosine? So take a look at this. Do we agree that that is just the reciprocal? All right, so this is a secant times a secant. So overall, you have a secant, of course, in hyperbolic times a secant. So therefore, you have a secant square. So that is the end of the proof. All right, so that's the second one. And then moving on to the third one. So the third one we have right over here. So the derivative of secant is equals to negative secant times tangent. Of course, this is in hyperbolic. So the derivative of secant what are we taking the derivative of? We are taking the derivative of the reciprocal of cosine, which is 2. I should not write equal, so which is 2 divided by e to the x plus e to the negative x. So this one we will be using a quotient rule, fg minus fg divided by g squared, f first, g second. Okay, so what's the derivative equals to? The derivative of 2 is equals to 0, and then we copy the denominator, e to the x plus e to the negative x, and then a minus the top. The derivative of the bottom is e to the x minus e to the negative x, right? And then we square the denominator, and then when you square the denominator, I will just write like this. I will break it down in the next step. So the first term, this term is completely gone due to the 0, and then for the rest of the stuff, I will break it down in this way. So we have a minus 2, right? I will do a negative 1 multiply 2 divided by the first factor. So e to the x, you don't need parentheses. E to the x plus e to the negative x. And then we multiply. So, and then we have this factor, e to the x minus e to the negative x divided by e to the x plus e to the negative x. Then what is that equals to? We have a negative 1, and then multiply. This is the reciprocal of cosine. Take a look right here. So that is the reciprocal of that because we have a plus, and then the rest, this is a minus, this is a plus, which is a tangent. So we have a inverse, the reciprocal of cosine times a tangent. So put this down. So this is the 1 over cosine, which is secant, and then we multiply the tangent. And then this is the end of the proof. All right, so that is the proof of this formula. So if you like it, you think this fits the way you learn, give me a like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you all in the next video. Signing out.